Was there any discussion about the mental health profession?
No.
What about at the San Francisco org?
No, not really. Not until I got to Los Angeles.
And what did you learn in Los Angeles at the Guardian's office as to why the mental health profession was an enemy of Scientology?
Objection as to the form, calls for a narrative.
Well, what we were taught was that psychiatry objected to Scientology because it was so effective, and therefore we were competition with this other industry, which was filled with crime and brutality and death. And so basically we were the guys in the white robes and the white hats going after, this symbol of evil and death.
How long were you at the United States Guardian's office in Los Angeles?
I was training there for about 4 or 5 months.
And did you have any involvement with the FDA matter?
Not until I returned to San Francisco.
So the 4 and 5 months, can you give me a time frame? What time frame is that now?
That would have been the end of 1971, probably maybe through January of 72.
I'm trying to hear that. When did it start?
Up through January 72.
So it'd about go backwards 4 or 5 months from there?
Yes.
Okay. And when you went back then to the San Francisco org?
Yes.
Is the only thing then at that 4 or 5 months in Los Angeles you were just taking courses?
Well, I also worked in the intelligence, did some work over in the Intelligence Bureau, because we had to know how they worked, and so we just were invited to get hands-on experience.
What type of experience did you gain at the Intelligence Bureau in Los Angeles?
Objection as to the form.
Well, we read some stuff about intelligence activities along the way, just to learn the basic nature of what they did for spy networks and things like that. But then a bunch of us were put onto what was called a B1 op. That's capital letter B, number 1, capital O, capital P. A B1 op.
What is a B1 op?
There was 4 bureaus in the Guardian's office, and they were numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and the Intelligence Bureau was Bureau 1, the first bureau. So it just ended up with the designation B1. We were supposed to call it the Information Bureau, so nobody knew it was intel and spies. But so one of the ways that we just called it, we just said B1. An op is basically a covert operation, something that is carried out in secret, like a B&E, a breaking and entering would be an op. It's something that you don't want known, as opposed to something that's just confidential.
Excuse me. Move to strike, not responsive to the question.
This Intelligence Bureau, did you actually get instruction from the Intelligence Bureau?
We were all sent out there was about a whole group of us that went out in a combined B1 op one day.
Objection, move to strike, not responsive.
He's right, that was not responsive. Did you get any type of coursework or instruction when you went over to the Intelligence Bureau on how to do things?
Objection is to the form.
Not from them. Our courses and instructions came from the PR side. We were more or less briefed in the Intelligence Bureau.
Okay. What did they brief you on in the Intelligence Bureau?
Objection is to the form.
How they worked, how they interfaced with us, how they got us information, how they interfaced with the other bureaus, legal and finance.
What did they tell you about breaking and entering?
Nothing about.
As to the form.
Nothing about that.
Okay, you mentioned before breaking and entering. What were you talking about?
Objection is to the form.
Just as an example of something that'd be covert. Like a burglary is something you do covertly as opposed to something you just do confidentially.
Okay.
Move to strike, not responsive.
This B1 op, were you actually part of the B1 op?
Yes.
And tell us what happened.
Move to, objection is to the form.
Briefly, there was a mental health association over in the San Fernando Valley that was about to start its fundraising campaign. And they had set it up with anonymous letters that were to be delivered to all the households in the area as a strike force one morning. And each of us got sections, maps designating the blocks that we were to cover. Instructions on what to do if anybody stopped us, any instructions and a phone number what to do if we were picked up. And we were dropped off. We had our maps like, people running, political polls or something. It was something like 5:30 in the morning. We were not to put them into the mailboxes. I saw what it was. It was a very scurrilous attack on this guy about his sex life and things about irresponsible finances, was he taking money, etc. Anonymous, anonymous type of letter.
What particular individual was this?
Excuse me, move to strike that answer. He's not responsive. And before he says anything else, can you give us a time frame for this alleged situation that you say that you are?
This is probably the summer of 72.
All right. You said before that you were in the Los Angeles Guardian's office for 4 or 5 months that ended in January of 72. So.
All right.
So did you go back to the Guardian's office?
No. I guess it was more or less like late 71 that this was then. It was in the middle of my training.
Okay. And the person that you were putting these flyers out on, what type of person was that?
Objection as to the form.
Just the head of the local mental health association.
And you said that you had instructions on in the event you were picked up. What do you mean by picked up?
Objection as to the form.
We had a phone number of an attorney. We had a cover story as to what to say if we were picked up or detained, and we were to call the attorney.
Move to strike, not responsive to the question.
And when you say picked up by whom?
Picked up by the police. Or even detained.
In your instructions, were you permitted to tell the police if you were picked up that you were a member of Scientology?
Objection as to the form.
No, definitely not. We were just told to, I was just paid $25 to deliver these. I don't know anything.
Did you engage in any other covert operations while you were at these 4 or 5 months in the Los Angeles office?
Objection as to the form.
No.
Okay. After the 4 or 5 months, you think you said it ended in January 72, where did you go?
Objection as to the form.
Back to San Francisco.
And what did you do in San Francisco at that time?
Objection as to the form, telling for a narrative with the response.
And then I just assumed my position as the AGPR San Francisco.
Now, what were your duties as the AGPR San Francisco?
We're talking about at that period of time?
Yes.
I was
the early part, beginning in 1972.
I was responsible for all external matters regarding public relations, which included media, any contacts with government, or what we also call troublesome sources, people just giving us a problem. Also liaison to other similar situations, like another church, or boys club, everything that was basically external facing that we might encounter in a public arena as opposed to court or financial.
What was the significance of the boys club?
Nothing. I'm just saying any external group.
Okay.